And I hope you're well, sir.
Yeah, morning, Sana. Good.
I know you are one of those who are actively following cases that has to do with the fight against anti-corruption, especially in connection with Operation Recover or Loot. Yesterday, people were a little disappointed only for the rearrest to happen. This is regular, right?
Absolutely. I like that word. It's regular. It happens often. There's nothing out of the ordinary about it. And in natural fact, there are very bad examples, and we should cite them on this occasion because it will help us to improve our law. You remember the case of Gregory Afoku. Gregory Afoku's case, at that time, Godfred Dame and Gloria Kufu were in charge. The case traveled from beginning to the last stage of the case, where the judge was going to do, and then they would give judgment, right? That stage, that is where the Attorney General stopped the case with a nollie prosecutor. So, the Gregory Afoku challenged it to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, well, looking at our law, when it comes to nollie prosecutor, they just say that the Attorney General can enter it. Of course, when they say the Attorney General, he cannot be all over Ghana. So he can also instruct other lawyers and even non-lawyers to enter the nollie prosecutor. That terminate a case. Then the Supreme Court added that on an occasion that you get evidence that he didn't exercise the discretion well, then you can challenge the discretion in the High Court. But you know that in practice, most of the time you don't get the opportunity to challenge the discretion because the Attorney General doesn't say anything. So when you even go and cite some reason for the discontinuation or withdrawal of the case, it's likely to be said that you are speculating. Even though in the Gregory Afoku case, we knew that the state had a weak case. So the main reason they discontinued was that they were about to lose the case. But, you can't be very certain on it because they didn't open their mouths to say so. So the point I'm making is that the cry that Aludiba, that's Abdul Hanan Aludiba, and his lawyers are crying now, yes, we can say then we should amend the law to always give reasons. But even before we amend the law, you would find that Dr. Ayuni, trailblazer in this area, he's been giving reasons anytime he discontinues a case, withdraws it. So I'm no longer using the word nollie prosecutor. So that's what I'm saying, discontinue or withdraw, even though technically there are differences in the meanings of the words. But I think on this occasion, it's sufficient to keep using withdraw or discontinue. But technically, the word withdrawal is different. It has a different technical meaning. But for now, let's use it as when we are speaking normal English, which is that in this case, the case has been brought to an end and they are about to start a new case. So because Ayuni has been giving reasons all throughout, if you say we should amend the law so that anytime the state stops a case, they should give reasons, I don't think it will be difficult for Ayuni. Yeah, I don't think it will be difficult, right? Yeah, that shows that we are making progress. Yes, that shows we are making progress. So for me, I don't see the cause for alarm because so far from Ayuni's track record, he hasn't shown that he uses the state prosecutorial machinery as a means of political vendetta, like what happened in the MPP regime. You remember Godfred Dame was caught on tape, the Japa tape, saying that he didn't want to prosecute Japa, but it was Ofuriata and the Kufuado who were pressing him. That's Godfred Dame's own words on the tape. So you see that in the past regime, they were using the prosecutorial powers for political ends, and that they wanted to Atufosun too was being prosecuted so that there will be a by-election. Can you imagine a president and finance minister putting pressure on Godfred Dame? Today, where is Ofuriata? He's a fugitive. He hasn't even seen anything yet. And now he's a fugitive. So the point is that, at least in our recent past, we've caught an Attorney General on tape confessing that they were using their prosecutorial powers for a political vendetta just to get at political opponents, etc. So if we are scared that that can happen in future, or like they are scared now that what they did is what this government is doing, then by all means, we can put it in the law that it will be mandatory for an attorney general to give reasons for stopping a case. Even though I know that for Ayini, whether you put it in the law or not, he would give reasons. He's showing that he's a professor of law indeed. All right.
But the same Godfred Yeboah Dame is calling this a gross abuse of prosecutorial powers.
Oh, but what the gross abuse of prosecutorial powers is what we caught Godfred Dame on tape, confessing that Ekufuado and Ofuriata were on his neck, pressing him to prosecute Atuforsen so that there will be a by-election in Atuforsen's constituency, so that he can turn the numbers in parliament. That is what is gross abuse. So if that is what he's referring to, it's correct. But if it's in this Abdul Hanan Aludiba case, I'm not aware. We'll deal with evidence. It's not just what you open your mouth to say, but it's the evidence. So in the Dakwa and Atuforsen case, our evidence is he, Godfred Dame himself. He opened his mouth and confessed. So that's the evidence. But in this particular case, he hasn't proffered evidence. So you see that this is what I meant by if you went to court to say it's an abuse, etc., they will say, what is the evidence? It will be difficult to get it if the Attorney General doesn't talk and make a mistake, or if he doesn't talk and in the talking he confesses the real reasons. When you go to court, it will be difficult because the court will say we will deal with evidence. Where's the evidence of the abuse? So if Godfred Dame is talking about abuse, maybe he's talking about the Japa tape where he was caught confessing to abuse of the prosecutorial power for political vendetta.
And in this particular case, after he was, I think there's the word discharged, he and his wife were immediately picked up by a joint team of Iyoko and NACOC. Should we read anybody into that? That NACOC is involved?
Well, as for reading meanings, I don't think we can stop citizens from reading meanings. But the thing is, will the meaning be negative or positive? That one, we don't have evidence yet. Let's wait. I keep saying that so far from Ayuni's track record, Ayuni and Dr. Fremsai, they've been giving reasons. So I believe once they are done, they will give the reasons. And in actual fact, earlier on yesterday, before the case was withdrawn, I understand Dr. Fremsai was on Facebook. He stated that that's what they were going to do because they've uncovered new evidence. So these people so far, they have a good track record, and so they have my trust. And I don't have any case where they've been caught abusing their prosecutorial power. So I'll trust them and wait for them to come out with the reasons in due course. I don't think that will be very long. So then we'll take it from there.
But should we also be suspecting that perhaps because he says that they found fresh evidence? So could they not have incorporated that evidence while the case was ongoing? How does it work?
Yeah, so when you say fresh evidence, yes, sometimes you can incorporate when it's ongoing, but other times the fresh evidence changes the whole case, like the figures and everything. Maybe you find more gargantuan figures, etc. In that case, you have to cancel and start afresh. Like I said, remember Gregory Afoku's case? The state went all the way to the end. The judge was now about to do, and then they will give judgment. That's when they canceled it. Look, also in this case, ACP, now he's DCOP, this is Dr. Agodio's case. Yes, that is what they said. Godfred Dame was involved in that case. They said treason felony. We went to court, and then the jury was selected, and people had been in custody for months, etc. Then, of course, they subsequently got bail, right? And then, next thing we knew, Godfred Dame stopped that trial and went and did high treason, separate. So first, we were doing treason felony. Of course, it could have also resulted in the death penalty at the time. At that time, we hadn't changed the law. But later, when they saw that, you see, when you do treason felony, it is the jury who will decide. They are the judges. So when he looks at the jury you will see that Godfred Dame didn't have confidence that they could win the case. So they went and cancelled it and decided to mount a case of high treason, where that one it would be 3 judges. So he had more faith in the 3 judges that would be sitting on the case than the jury, who are the ordinary citizens. And they cancelled it and started afresh and got 3 judges. And then the case went on, and some of the people were convicted. Like some of the people he shouldn't even have added, he added. He himself told me that, ACP, no, so now we should say DCOP, Dr. Agodio, should not have been part of the case, but he added him, etc. So it's not the best. I'm just recounting that today the person crying all over is a man who was at the helm practically when certain abuses were happening. He himself confessed to some of the abuses. So it is rich coming from him. But nonetheless, let's make it law so that in future you will not always get an attorney general as good as Godfred Dame. You will not always get, I said Godfred Dame, as Dr. Ayeni. I've already shown how Godfred Dame didn't measure up to the right standard, right? So you will not always get general as good as Dr. Ayeni. So if we want to change the law to curb a situation where an attorney general will come and will be abusing the powers, sure, it helps.
Well, before I let you go, just a quick thoughts on the PDS matter. I'm sure you've seen what the minister responsible for government communications posted. What do you think?
The persons who were arrested.
Who were arrested, yes.
Yeah, it's a good step. You see, for the state itself to announce it, it tells you, so the inference, the reading we can make, we can read meaning to read that it means that there's a case. Because I'm confident that Kwachio Fusu knows that you can't just announce an arrest if eventually that case will not go to court. So for me, for him to announce this, it tells you that the case may go to court. Because an arrest alone is not sufficient, right? It's what can follow after. I remember I was arrested by the Kisie Jabin and this in Akrugu, right, in the OSP. Yes, they arrested me, but I've been in a case. So as for arrest, you can always arrest somebody. Okay, of course, it's an abuse when you know that there's no case against him and you just arrest. But what I mean is that when you arrest, then you go into further investigations. So sometimes it's not every arrest that will lead to court. So I'm thinking that Kwachio Fusu would have been well advised that this case here to go to court. That's why they will announce it, because they know that once this announcement has been made, if maybe a year, even any time after 3 months, if citizens don't see a court case, they will come back. Hey, why did you announce this thing if you knew you had no case? So, and I believe this politicians, they are very savvy. They know the terrain even more than us. They, voter psychology, they know the voters more than you and I, Senna. Or at least, let me say, more than me. Maybe you are also very skillful and adept at voter psychology. But I cannot claim such credentials. So I'm thinking that before they make the announcement, they know the next few steps ahead. You won't just announce an announcement, an arrest, when you are not confident that the case would go to court.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for speaking to us.
You're welcome.
Lawyer Martin Kpebu is a private legal practitioner and activist when it comes to matters of, especially when it comes to matters of prosecuting corruption. Those involved in corruption activities or corruption-related activities. Is a huge advocate and activist. Taking us exactly 24 minutes past 8 here in the studios of Radio Gold 90.5 FM. Let's take a short break. We'll be back.